What is the potential of this crisis for the emergence of a 21st century economy? I'm Shinta Oosterwaal, economist and executive team coach, and I'm asking forward thinkers, seers and doers, what now?
Hi, Christine.
Hello, good morning.
Thanks for talking to me today.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Christine, you are a trend analyst. You have been a trend analyst for more than 3 decades now. You're an international keynote speaker. You also do consultancy on consumerism and strategy, helping companies to navigate the future. And your latest trend report is called Being Human, Mastering the Shift of Human Needs. Beautiful title.
Thank you.
You're currently working quite hard to share all the content that you have on webinars, which are quite popular. And I'm really glad and excited to talk to you today about what the potential might be of this crisis.
Yeah, well, that's the topic of the day, isn't it? And yeah, this crisis has so many faces. Apart from all the sadness, there is some potential in this crisis. And from my point of view, and in my field of work, I see that the crisis, the Corona crisis, is actually a catalyst for the change which was already happening. Some major shifts and minor shifts. And what we see now is that the shifts we recognized already before the crisis are now, well, you could say they get a little bit more speed and more power.
What trends would be accelerated through the Corona crisis?
Well, there was one trend that we actually, if you look at the sign of the time, we are living in a world which is so demanding, and there is everything is exponentially growing, and we can hardly understand what's happening around us. And we are living in a world of mixed realities where the analog and the digital and the artificial intelligence are literally mingling up and blurring the boundaries between what is human and what is technological. And so for many people, and also another surrounding factor which is very important, that we are living in an expectation society. So everything should be top level, perfect, and not everybody was able to keep up with that pace of the developments of the time, as well as the expectation of the time frame. So what we saw was at the beginning of a trend towards slowing down, turning inwards, contemplation, meditation, yoga, mindfulness, things like that. Yeah. And now actually the situation forces us to do so, because we are in a lockdown situation, and being in our own house or our own big or small space, wherever you live, with those who you live with. So we really have to reconsider what is important and what does it mean to be in contact with yourself and with others, and how does my house feel? What is the feeling of home? These were all kind of trends that of developments that were already happening a little bit, but now we are forced to do so. So it's accelerating.
Yeah. Do you think that will change us as consumers?
That depends a little bit on how long the crisis will last. So if it's over tomorrow, then probably we will go back to normal quite soon. But if it takes longer time, this crisis, then we start to really get used to a lower pace, and to really search contact with those you want to see, and that you have time to, well, for instance, what also was a trend is that it was cleaning your house, cleaning the really everyday cleaning your house, and it was, you could see it in the trendy area that we have all kind of beautiful house cleaning tools. And then Sif, for instance, they had a commercial saying "tidy house, tidy mind." So it's literally and all the downshifting of all the goods and the stuff and things like that. And where was my talk going? Yeah, that these these things now we are doing it, and it brings you, that was your question, what does it bring us?
How will it change as consumers?
Yeah, and do we change? Yeah, sorry. And yes, so I think the longer this crisis lasts, the more we get used and we get attached probably to this new lifestyle. And another thing this crisis is showing us is that it's literally revealing the problems we have in the world more than ever. And we see the difference if we behave differently. So we see the sky is clearer, we can harvest literally more sun energy. We see that people are literally calming down and literally reconsidering, do I have to fly 3 times a month to the other end of the world? Probably there are other ways to do so. We can have online meetings, and I see it in my own practice that I speak to people who I can really do some consultancy even without traveling. So the longer this lasts, the more ways we will find to deal with how we are now. And the bigger is the chance that it will stay like that after the crisis. And I also think, because what we also do is that we look around and say, what do I really need? And then we have so much stuff we don't need. And that's the reason why at the garbage station of every city here in the Netherlands, there are literally rows of cars who want to throw away their stuff. So we are literally shifting down and doing with less, and have more attention for what we do have. And I think if this goes on, then we will also be, as consumers, more conscious. And that will not be for all consumers, because I think there will be many people who just run for the cheap clothes and the things like that. But in general, I think this change is also accelerated and stronger by the corona crisis and the lockdown situation.
Yeah, I guess it needs time, right, to change behavior.
Exactly,
it
needs time, and it has to make sense. And because we knew that slowing down would be good, but knowing and feeling is a different thing. So your head says it's good, but your heart doesn't feel it, and it doesn't work. So it takes time to literally digest this idea and this new way of behaving.
Yeah, I can imagine that for your clients, this is quite a disrupting situation to be thinking about consumerism in such a different way now. How do they react?
Different, but what I advise all my clients is that it is actually too early to say what the real change will be. But what you can do is in the here and the now, see, okay, what's my business? What is my chain in which, what is my ecosystem in which I have a place for myself, for my business, for my products? And what can I do now to keep in contact with my consumer, to build the relationship even deeper with my consumer? And how can I be of any significance in this difficult situation? So it's not immediately about going back to business as normal as soon as possible, but it's more about rooting even more in your DNA. Who am I? Where can I be of significance? And how can I help my consumer as well as myself through these difficult times? And some, like the big supermarket chain I work with, they anticipate on a different way than probably clothing companies who don't sell that much. And the supermarket companies are now the vital organisms in our society. So they react differently. And but in general, you can say, I would take this crisis to reconsider very, very precisely, who am I? What's my DNA? What's my mission? What's my vision? How can I connect to my consumer? How can I build this relationship? Because if I help my consumer through this crisis, the consumer will think of me after the crisis. And that's not a because why, but it's more that is how it works. If we have a connection and we help each other, then this connection deepens.
Mm-hmm.
And use a good example probably from of a company who did well, in my opinion. This is Bavaria. They what they did immediately after the crisis started and the restaurants and the bars and the cafes had to close down.
Mm-hmm.
What they did, they went to all their clients. They took back the beer they have delivered already. They took it back, transported it back to the headquarters, to the fabriek, the factory. Yes, thank you. And then with this beer, they made hand alcohol for the hospitals. So then you think, okay, my position is I'm selling beer to cafes and bars. They cannot sell it, they have a problem. I take them problem back. I make from this problem an opportunity. What is needed in this time? Hand alcohol. Let's make hand alcohol of this beer.
Yeah.
And I think then you really take responsibility of your whole chain, and you are of significance in this crisis situation. And this is also in my webinar an example I give. And I think then you touch not only the head, but also the heart of your consumer. And that will last. That's what it's all about.
This example illustrates beautifully what you call significance, which I find very interesting concept. I've heard you speak about this before, purpose and significance.
Yes. That's also what we see. There was already a paradigm shift from growth to impact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not for all companies yet. But now we see that in order to survive, you do have to make impact.
Yeah.
It's not about growth now. It's about being of significance and having impact in not only your own life, but in the whole ecosystem you're operating in.
Yeah. One thing you also mentioned during your webinar was you mentioned 3 principles of progress, which I think align well with what you just said now.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Probably I do have to explain the word principle of progress. That's the word I use for consumer trends. But I think principles of progress is a more forward-thinking word, and it is the basic needs to thrive in this time frame and in the future. So principles of progress. Yes, I can explain a little bit more on the 3 of them. The first one is named reclaim inner direction. And that was literally a reaction to this technosphere we are living in, that the technology and artificial intelligence is literally under our skin, and that you see a need to actually create your own safe bubble where nobody can enter, not even any technology, and then reclaim your inner direction. So you reclaim, who am I? What is my pace? I want to make decisions of my own life. I need personalized products. So there are many opportunities for companies and for innovation to know that this is one field of human needs which is very on topic at this moment. So that was the first one. The second one is be embedded. It's like an imperative. In order to thrive in this time frame, we have to be embedded in team human, so with other people, the holistic way of thinking.
Team human.
Yeah, team human. Also be embedded in nature, because we human beings, we tended to think it is on top of the pyramid human beings and then nature and the rest. But we are part of nature, so we should more and more understand that we are part of this global ecosystem, which is Mother Earth, and we are part of it. And now we see that we are not able to control everything, that the corona crisis is showing us that the whole world is now dealing with the same threatening situation. And although the coronavirus is a natural thing, the fact that it's spreading is a human thing.
Mm.
So our behavior is doing so. So we are literally confronted with our own behavior. So we also should know more our place in the ecosystem and know if it's reasonable to fly, to take so many flights and to all these products going around the globe. Is it really necessary? We now recognize that locally we can get beautiful stuff as well, etc., etc. So be embedded in nature and be embedded with technology. So not technology here, human being here, but also because we have to coexist with artificial intelligence. So it's not either or, it's a coexistence. And that's a super organism of which we are just one part. That's be embedded. And there are many opportunities. If you know that this is happening, and then again, you have your product or your organization or your brand, then you can say, okay, if this is important and this is me, where can we link this? Where are my opportunities? And then the third one is a nice one, revealing the very basic human needs of imagination or creation, inspiration, and it's named Hack the Perspective, and it's literally turning everything upside down and play with surprise, which in a world of data where everything is arranged, where is surprise? If I go out for shopping and I enter the store and already in my face is the item I'm searching for, sometimes that's great, but sometimes shopping is also treasure hunting, and all these things are gone with all these data and algorithms. So longing for surprise, longing for mysticism, probably longing for things we do not really understand in the first split second. It's also humor and fun and play. All these aspects are in Hack the Perspective, and actually we are now forced to hack the perspective because our total perspective is hacked by the corona crisis. So what I see for my 3 principles of progress, that they really got stronger by the fact that this corona crisis is here now.
The sense of self that you speak of, the sense of place that you've been speaking of, the sense of wonder. You've mentioned that in your webinar like this. Will it make us more autonomous as consumers? The reason I'm asking is because as consumers, we are influenced every day, all day, unconsciously in making our choices. Will we make our choices more autonomously from now on?
Yeah, well, I wish you were right, but I'm afraid autonomy is becoming a scarce thing, because we live in this technosphere and we are monitored every now and then, and we all our traces in the digital world. So, but the best thing we can do is being aware of that fact and knowing more how deep it's interwoven in our system. And if you want to take an autonomous decision, the first step is to know that you are not autonomous at this moment, because there are so many subliminal and whatever influences around us, data driven, whatever. So you see more and more people who want to live off the grid, who want to not be connected, but that's difficult in this world. So, but the awareness around this topic, which you mentioned, is growing. So I think people at least try to make their own decisions and are more aware of the fact that they are part of a system.
Yeah. I read an article a couple of days ago about how building up your own garden and living more sustainably, self-sustainably, is quite a radical transformation. It's a small transformation, but it's very radical in a society where you are dependent on suppliers of our food, for example.
It's also the process of growing your own crop and making your own bread, and the whole process of doing so is reconnecting us to ourselves, a lower peace, the the feeling of satisfaction if you have your own bread from the oven, wow, and it tastes well and you did it.
Yeah.
And that's what many people are doing now. They are really most of us are taking effort to make good food. To you can read in the newspapers that we are visiting local farmers to get our the things we want to eat, and still also we need the supermarket, and they're doing a great job in my opinion. But that's a side note. But the process of harvesting your own crop, making your own food was also happening already. We see it in all the small bars with the homemade, etc., etc. Yeah. But again, this is catalyzed by the corona crisis. Can you say that? Is that English?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, the corona crisis was a catalyst for this trend.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Another thing I've been really wanted to ask you: have you seen the documentary by Michael Moore?
No, I saw it on LinkedIn, but I didn't see it yet. So it's still on my list.
Okay. Well, there's a whole debate about how growing green, or green growing, whatever, appears to be, as he has depicted it in his documentary, a false promise to us. And it really got me thinking about, even it doesn't really matter if that's true or not, but it got me thinking about how, as consumers, do we regain trust, looking back at the many times that we have been falsely promised,
misleaded
through labels.
Yeah, well, I think what is very important, if going green is a large container word, but it is true that if we all want to have our own garden, and then it won't work in the world. So that is not the solution. If we really want to go for solutions, for instance, then we need like skyscrapers in which we grow crops and things like that, which is not very romantic and not very, but that's what we need. But what we even need more is the awareness that the way we consume now is not sustainable in any way, and will never be sustainable, even not if we all have our own vegetable garden. And because we have to eat less meat, because meat is one of the big problems of the world. The system it's taking too much of Mother Earth. So the awareness of how we consume is step one. And then, yes, sure, there is a way to go green and to live more sustainably, but it's not directly having your own vegetable garden. It's probably a less romantic solution, that we need like skyscrapers full of like in the Netherlands we have developed this way to grow crops without earth but with light, and it's healthy and it's good, but it's not very romantic. It doesn't look like let's have a walk in the veggie garden. No, it's like skyscrapers full with purple light and crops. But that is a promise which is very sustainable, which can give us enough food. So it's not that the world cannot give us enough food, but the way we deal with it, that's why there is this disbalance.
Yeah. So that would what you just said about be embedded in yourself, be embedded in nature, be embedded in technology, that would be how it comes together, right?
Yeah,
that awareness.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it is. So we can also embrace technology to help nature.
Yeah. How does that work?
Well, as the example I mentioned before with LED light growing crops, but also probably you have this precision farming with drones which can or technology which can literally analyze the earth and know, okay, we have had now corn for a while, now we need this, and if you have this plant with it. And so the technology of really understanding nature, because nature by itself is always recovering and always having the right plants in the right places, and these cycles, these ecosystem cycles. So the more technology we have, the more scientific insights we have in nature, we can translate that into our systems. So we learn every day new lessons from nature, but we need technology to do so. So it's not either or, it's this embedding.
The shedding a light on all these types of possibilities. I assume that it's one of your core tasks as a trend analyst, but it's such a valuable thing to be doing right now, to make people more aware of what is actually possible, what is already happening, and where it can lead to. Right?
Exactly. That's my personal mission.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
What has have you ever encountered a shock like this, like the corona crisis, in your time as a trend analyst?
No, not as big as this one. This is because this is also, it's the most disrupting thing I think most of us experienced in our life. And in the first place, because it's the whole world, whole humankind is dealing with one danger, with one enemy, or however, which vocabulary you want to use for it. Yeah. And so it could be an opportunity to be one world. Unfortunately, we see that's not happening yet. But in my life, I think this is the biggest disruption. And it's literally putting everything we knew upside down. Yeah. Economy, all the stores closed, not possible, it is possible. Not going out, whole countries, it's impossible, it's possible. Yeah. So it's, I think, the biggest disruption we ever encountered. But in order to change, and we were in a transition stage for a long time already, in order to accelerate change, we need disrupting, shocking things. So the positive side is that this is so shocking and so everybody involving that we cannot not change.
Mm-hmm. So how does, as a professional, how does this affect your daily work? Except for
yeah, in the first place, I had a lot of speaking notes, speaking arrangement. What's the word? Yeah. To do, and a lot of workshops and a lot of consultancy sessions with teams. And from one day to another, that was a flat line. Yeah. But I thought, okay, but I had this keynotes to inspire people, to inform people, to help people, to make that. So I thought, and that came from within, I want to share my content. Now it has to be online. Let's start to do it for free. So I took a week or 3 weeks, because I had to think, okay, what's the impact of this crisis? Let's look at my analysis, being human. Is this changing? And so I literally went through everything I researched and said, okay, this is now not relevant. This is relevant. This is even more relevant. So it took me a while. And then I started this webinar, and I was luckily surprised, because I opened it online and I had 500 seats, virtual seats, and they were given in 3 days. So it was, I was happy. And so I went on with my content to share it in webinars. And now, so my business is changed in the sense that I cannot reach people live, which I love, because I love the energy in consultancy, in workshops, in people coming together, even big audiences. There's always this energy which you recharge me as well as the audience. So I do miss that a lot. But what made me very happy is that I do work as hard as I did, although there's no money in the bank. So it means that it really comes from within my work. And now we are actually finding ways to go on working like this. As long as the crisis take, I want to reach my audience, and I want to restart probably a new business model by online consultancy, online workshops, webinars, make them accessible for many people, but everybody paying a little bit, so I can also do my daily life. So I'm finding new ways, and also the idea has been before the crisis to do webinars or to reach sometimes people in other countries that I don't have to travel. But the situation was like, if I do my lecture online for everybody and tomorrow I have a live presentation, will it still be interesting? So we were continuously thinking, is it okay to do so? And now the corona crisis forced me to do so. So it helped me actually to accelerate this idea of reaching people without being analogically live available.
Yeah. And I love the idea that you're opening up your content to a larger group of people. So as individuals, as consumers, we can now avail of the content where you were before maybe through a business model forced to deliver it to a company on a company level, on a more strategic level.
Yeah.
While the information is so valuable for human progress, I think.
Yeah, thank you. I think so too. And what is also you have this. I have my analysis, but what you say is right. If you are a huge company doing strategy, or you are just a consumer finding your way, you can both link to the principles of progress in your own way.
Yeah.
So that's also my whole consultancy practice is okay, saying this is the analysis. Here you are. But now you as a brand, you as a person, you as a company, how can we link this together? You are navigating to this sign of the times. These are the principles. What's in it for you? And this stage of translation, that's my core. That's my core love business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you derive a societal purpose from it, right? As a trend watcher to deliver your service in that way, which is, I think, makes life more diverse if we as consumers can avail of the knowledge that you and your profession share. Another item I was really wanting to touch upon with you is your colleague Liedewij Edelkoort. She initiated the idea for a World Hope Forum to change the fashion industry. Can you comment on that? I'm really curious about what you think about that.
Well, I in the first place, I really liked the counterbalance of the World Economic Forum, the World Hope Forum. That's point taken, perfect. So I shared it immediately on my LinkedIn. And yes, Liedewij, she is for a longer time already questioning the fashion industry. She did a few years ago. She did the anti-fashion manifest, and in which she told the world that, well, you can buy a T-shirt for a price lower than a croissant, which is not possible because this T-shirt has traveled the whole globe and somebody made it, and there's cotton, etc., etc. So it's the system is rotten in a sense. Mm-hmm. And it is a thrown away industry. It's becoming a thrown away industry. So she is manifesting already for a long time to change this and to plea for a more sustainable fashion industry and long lasting items, and that there is love again in the items and in the brands, and it's not like this throwaway fast fashion. And also the waste coming with this fashion is so enormous that it's too overwhelming. So I think her World Hope Forum is going on this platform of let's try to make the fashion ecosystem more safe, sustainable, more honest, more inclusive. Let's revalue our clothes. Let's revalue beautiful craftsmanship, designs, fabrics. So if that is her main aim, I do agree 100%.
Mm-hmm. Is that the items that you touch upon in your report on being human as well?
That's Be Embedded is all about sustainability and meaning be embedded in your ecosystem. And I always explain that there is this ecosystem of nature, but there are many ecosystems. If you you are a brand operating globally, your ecosystem is your suppliers, the factory, your clients, your sellers, etc. So that's your ecosystem. And if we really understand our own ecosystem, and then we cannot think, okay, that person at the first part of my chain, I don't care if he doesn't sleep and he doesn't eat and he is working with toxic chemicals. I don't care. You cannot do that any longer if you understand that you are part of this chain as well. So I'm always pleading to understand your ecosystem and behave as such.
Yeah. How do your clients react when you talk to them like this?
They more and more agree. Some are already totally on this level, and I think that's a cosmic thing, because I do believe this so much. My clients are already in this field of sustainable operation and really very inclusive. The best example, can I name brands in this? Yeah. The best example in this field is, I think, the company Secret. They make small wallets, and they are one of the most, they are almost a B Corp. They're one of the most inclusive, holistic thinking companies I ever met in my life. Mm-hmm. It starts with that all the production is in the Netherlands. All the wallets are made by people who have a distance to the labor market. The cows, the leather they use come from cows which had a good life. The people working there are all secure of good food, good everything, because there's in their headquarters there is a restaurant and healthy food, and they have a really close relationship with their agents around the world. They refused to be on Amazon and things like that, because that would kill their agents and retailers. And in the world, there are literally leather stores living on the Secret product. So although it's a wallet, but it's such a successful thing. And if you, for instance, look online, #Secret, mm-hmm. so people spontaneously posting on the product, then you get like millions of views of people who are so happy with their, and you have lifelong guarantee. It's protecting against skimming, and you see that people start to discuss with each other when, oh, you have this secret, oh, I have this one. So the small chats. Mm-hmm. They opened a store recently in Rotterdam, and they even thought of this store that the outside of the store should be such that if there is a homeless person in the evening, that he could sleep there and be a little bit warm. So the design of the store is so that if you are there, you can stay warm being close to the store. Mm. So this is really a very inclusive brand. And I think these are the brands who literally can sustain in the world after this pandemic.
And that's one very interesting thing that you're mentioning now, the insights that you now give me is when a brand is so aware of its ecosystem, it's multifunctional in many ways. So it might produce
the ecosystem is huge. It's not only the product and the money, it is all the people living around it, involved with it, the customer, the everybody, and their lives.
Yeah.
So they also take care of the lives of the families of their, etc. So if every company would do so, then we would have a very different world. And it is possible, because I see it every time I work with Secret.
Mm-hmm. Prior to this little bit, we were talking about, I was asking you about your entrepreneurship and how this time affects your entrepreneurship. And of course, I'm asking this because many entrepreneurs are, they find themselves in quite a depression at this moment, not knowing what to do and not knowing how to deal with. And I think that what you're mentioning now and also previously about significance, because this is significance, of course, the example that you're mentioning now, when we think of ourselves this way as an entrepreneur, how to be significant, we can come up with so many more functionalities.
Yeah, that's like the example I mentioned, and also the examples how Secret is operating. You can transform that to your own ecosystem, and it all starts with understanding the ecosystem you are part of, your chain. And if you understand, then you know what's needed to make this chain very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be far, far away. It can also be very close to your situation.
And yet this is business unusual, because business usual would have us thinking that we need to deliver a single service or a single product, focus on that, accelerate in that maybe.
Yeah.
Well, you're now painting a picture of being more diverse in that sense.
It's the shift from growth to impact.
Yeah.
And you know from your field, because I know you're experienced in that as well, is that more and more companies, meaningful brands, are doing great business. So being meaningful can be, in this moment, and we have research on this by Havas Lamps, this research you probably know, that they have a higher stock market value. So it's profitable to be meaningful. It works. There are many brands already. If you look at the B Corp website, you can see, and Patagonia, things like that. It's not only taking, it's taking and giving, it's sharing. And it's no problem if you grow and if you earn your money, and even if you make a huge profit, perfect. As long as the system is okay and sustainable. And that you see that those who are doing so are really thriving.
Yeah. It reminds me of how we think of global issues as global issues, so on a very large scale, while this makes it so much smaller and maybe feasible to deal with it. So you can look at your chain or your
well, yeah, that's nice what you say now, because that brings us back actually to the beginning of our talk. Is the name of my my analysis is being human, and being human to be considered as a verb. And the human skills we have, like empathy, altruism, sensitivity, wanting to be part of something, wanting to be connected. These are the things we see now give them the best opportunities to thrive in the crisis and post-crisis.
Yeah.
Being human, being a human being.
Yeah. Sounds simple, huh?
It sounds so simple. It's not that simple. We forgot a little bit about it, and we were literally, the human being was a little bit pushed away by the exponential everything and the international internet of everything, ubiquitous technology. We lost ourselves a bit, but now we see a movement that we find back the human skills.
Yeah.
The archetypal human skills.
Yeah. So I think this is a nice note to end our conversation on.
Yeah, probably, yes. It's an end and a beginning in the same time.
Exactly. Thanks so much for your insights, Christine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and it was my pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.